we're just going to dive right into it. This is Scale with Purpose. I'm one of your hosts, Ian Carbon, co-founder here. And then Jason, want to introduce yourself, Jason?
Yeah. What's up, people? We're excited. Yeah, so this is a third in a four series global webinar series that we're doing on the book. Actually, with the people we interviewed in the book. So these are the famous people that you're going to read about in our book.
And Kirk has mentioned in there, he says, give a shout out to you, Chad. And funnily enough, in the book, I think we've got half of the book is dedicated to Canadians. So good representation by the Canadians out there. The Aussies and in the UK, Steph and Antoniya, we didn't get as much there. I think it's even split there on 3 and 3. But everybody in here on the conversation was really quintessential for us to get to this point. So it is now live and it is now in existence. The book Scale with Purpose. You will find it available soon. Between it'll launch actually in December. And let's give a big shout out and a thanks to all three of our panelists here today, as we'll go and introduce them in a second, but also many of the folks that we interviewed along the way, and all the other folks that gave us their stories and their details. It was quintessential for us being able to put this together. And thank you, and hopefully this is a gift back to all of you that, again, are trying to work through your practice and understand kind of why things might be where they are. And we're going to cover some at talk today. So Jason, add some thoughts and details.
Yeah. Real cool. If you go to scalewithpurpose.info, the book website, there is a place to fill out a group list so you can get on an email list. And there are some special things that come with that. We're going to launch, if you flip through the book, you'll see there are a lot of pretty intense resources that we built. We're going to launch some of those live, and if you get on the list, you'll see those sooner. And we also are going to be launching a live workshop next year. And we're going to get that on the site. That'll probably be January. But just get on the list. If you go there, you'll see in the top right of the website, there's a group list you can sign up for. And get on the list, and we'll remind you when things come out. Awesome.
That is all of the starting points. This is part 3 of the series. We got part 4, which is the culture builders, that's going to come out next month. We, again, are so graced with the fact that we've got Chad, Steph, and Antoniya here today. We're going to talk to Bernie and Jason, Zane, Mike, and Jennifer on the last one, which will be the closeout session. And so great so far. It's going to even get better. Today is going to be an amazing hour with us, so appreciate you all joining in. Everyone's pictures and faces and so forth. Again, you can watch the previous ones. They are available on the resources for Carbon HQ. And then again, the Culture Builders, you can register and sign up and get that as well. So let's get into the meat of it, Jason. This is when I hand it off to you, my friend.
Let's do it. This is exciting. Well, it's wild. We started writing this book, and some people at our soft launch last Friday at our conference were asking, hey, what's the purpose of this? And we really found the best service entrepreneurs, people building service companies, are the ones that are intentional. And this group of people were super intentional. A lot of times when we build our firms, we do it, what we say is accidentally, and that turns out to not work out. And even, some of the interviews we did with this group on the webinar found out some of it was not as intentional as they thought, and they went and redid their firm, reset it, reboot it, made it a different size, super difficult. So that's why we're calling this the intentional scalers, because y'all did this on purpose. You actually did something really hard. You kind of changed your firm size. You wanted to keep the same profitability, it says here on the screen, but y'all really prioritize the purpose and the reason why you're scaling a company. Very brave. You had to be very brave to do this. It was probably very difficult to do what you did. So everybody on here built something and went, nah, I'm going to rebuild this the way it's supposed to be. And that is way harder than you think. First of all, it takes a lot of bravery just to actually think that you can go build something different than what you already have. Most of us just keep trucking through what we built, but they redid it, and amazing what they created. The stories in the book are amazing what they did. So these are the intentional scalers. We're going to learn a lot from big, hard questions we're going to ask them.
So just to do a quick aside, so we've got Chad, Steph, and Antonia. So first of all, Chad was one of the first people I spoke to about the book and the concept, and really sort of just shook me and then grounded me in terms of what he had to go through and just the level of thought and care and understanding of how that was. I then later, quickly thereafter, I met up with Antonia, who validated a lot of what we were seeing in terms of how scaling plateaus exist, and really comes back to what Jason talks about in the book about, do you know what it means? And do you know what it, do you have the inspiration to do what that is? And Antonia was, and we'll go into a little bit of the details there, her and her team were so thoughtful in terms of what do they really want from the business, for themselves, for the clients, and so forth. And that really set them in a place where they're in a much, they went to a happy zone versus where they were at. And then Steph, I caught up with after that, and Steph really solidified that. Steph, if you haven't met her before, is really one of the folks that has the knowledge, the experience, the thoughtfulness, and just the awareness of how you navigate business, not only her own but others. And so I've taught many a course with Steph, and always impressed with what she understands that most people can't really grasp their hands around. And so the combination of these three were quintessential to what we wrote about in the book. And it's because of their thought and so forth. And so, again, it's not necessarily known up front when you're in the moment, but it's that reflection that all of these took and then stand back to really align the purpose and the mission and ultimately determine the firm's ultimate and enterprise value, which is what we talk about in the book. So we're going to dive into that here. All three of you just come off the mic and Chad, give a little bit of background about you, your business, and so forth, and then we'll go down and we'll do each person as well.
Sure. For context, I'm Canadian, so all the comments in the chat about the Jays doing very well recently are really cool to see. Watching, I remember we were in Vegas just a little while ago, and there was a lot of Americans rooting against the Blue Jays. So I think I was one of the only lone people like, yay, I like Toronto. And it was really fun. Anyway, Canadian firm is called LiveCA. The only interesting thing about me is that I've lived in an RV for the last 8 years, kind of traveling around different cities for the last 7, 8 years, and 6 months in Canada, 6 months in the US. But I've parked that thing and have started a new little adventure in Spain with my family. So we're going to try the whole remote thing from a different country with more than one bathroom. and see what that looks like for real life. And that's why we're over there. That's why I'm in the airport. 36 hours so far in airports, and I've got another about 12 or 20 hours to go. So we'll see how that goes. Incredibly thankful to be here, and it is so humbling to be part of really like the manifesto book that talks about the different struggles a lot of firms go through. And Jason, like, you are no different. You've had struggles for the last 10, 15, 20 years, and you've shared them so publicly, but you've also shared the wins. And I think that's why we all look up to you so much, is because there is no formula that an accounting firm follows to be successful. And our interpretation of what success is not only changes over the years, but it's completely different from the next person. So I'm hoping that through this, I get to learn more about Steph and Antonia's version of what success is, the other people that have gone through this series. I'm looking forward to watching those other ones. And by watching, I mean downloading and running through AI to see which one I really want to listen to. But thank you very much. Over to Steph. Would love to hear about you as well.
Thanks, Chad. Well, I'm highly jealous. Australian, obviously, from the accent, not Canadian, but I've wanted Chad to just put me in the RV as well for the last 7 to 8 years to travel around. But unfortunately, he has a family, and the one bathroom wouldn't also fit, somebody suggested. So we have a firm in Newcastle, and I specifically said the word firm so that Ian could spit out his coffee. Because my whole thing for the last few years has been, we get taught as accountants that, we're supposed to have a practice or a firm, when in reality, as accounting business owners, we actually have a business. And therefore, part of our thing should be shaping the business that suits us that we actually want to run, if that's what you want to do, exit if that's what you want to do. And so I've been building this business up, down, sideways, inside out for the last 16 years, made literally every single mistake that you could possibly make in the book, but have landed on the fact that in my nice grey hair, I have a good hairdresser, by the way, in my nice grey hair wisdom, that I've landed on something that really suits Alan and I, my business partner, and I think I'm looking forward to listening to everybody else's stories and what's been going on, but also sharing some of the mistakes to get to this level.
And Antoniya, what about you? You're across the pond.
Hello, yes. Hello from London. It's 6:12 p.m. here at the moment. So it's pretty much the end of the day for me. And I'm really looking forward to a nice feet up TV kind of thing after the webinar. So my name is Antoniya. I'm originally from Bulgaria. I arrived in the UK in 2002. And I worked in different industries for a while, and I went to study at university here. I met my husband, so we kind of got married. And in 2012, I graduated from university. I studied BA design. So this is kind of my passion in design, user friendliness kind of thing. And I went on to work in industry. I worked in hospitality, events management, and this is where I actually got to meet our company founder and director, Heather. She was our finance director at the time, and things just turned out in such a way that one day Heather came and asked me if I wanted to join her and help her with running her business. And initially, I have to say, I was really terrified because accountancy was something that was way out of my comfort zone. And it was probably because I did have some experience working for an accountant for a little bit, doing some admin work. And I have to say that was probably one of the most boring and hard jobs that I did. So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was entering. And maybe simply the fact that I got to know Heather as a colleague first, we worked really well together. I decided to jump and go for it. And probably one of the things that helped me stay in the business 11 years, over 11 years later, is maybe the mere fact that from the get-go, I felt this business quite close to my heart and what we were doing for clients and how we were doing things. And I also got to really work with amazing people. And my team is pretty much, the culture of the company is what really attracted me. And it's probably one also of the main reasons why years later I'm still here. So yeah, it's been a very long journey of learning, and we've had lots of ups and downs over the years, which I'm really looking forward to sharing with everyone. And I'm very, very grateful to be here today, because if you asked me 11 years ago that I would be joining an international webinar talking to experts in the industry, I would never, ever believe you. So thank you so much and for the opportunity. And I really look forward to the rest of the webinar.
Don't let Antoniya fool you. She's one of the experts too. So she's an operations wizard. So Jason, I'm going to pass it to you. We're going to dive into some of the subject matter and kind of go through a bit of the questions. Chad's eyes are open. He's ready. So Jason, take us away.
This is going to be exciting. Well, one thing I just want to say that I'm already hearing, and you hear it from from experts like this group, is there is not a way to do this. So in our book, we're like, don't think there's some way you're doing it. So when you break stuff, which you will if you run a company, a lot of times we feel bad about that, and a lot of times we compare ourselves to other people and we think they're doing it right. Why can't I do it right? And that is complete baloney. That's what we say in the U.S., maybe in the South in the U.S. That is complete baloney. None of us know how to do this. And the book just has structures, but it does not claim a way. It actually, at the end, it says, you better tweak the stuff in this book to apply it to your company. And smart people do that a lot of times through hard things, which these three have gone through. Ian, you and I have gone through very hard things too. We put that in the book. So don't feel bad that you don't know what you're doing. None of us do. We're trying to find our way through it. But Chad, your story was really intriguing. And we have this big, long question. I have a couple follow-up questions too, but this first one is, you changed your company. I think you went up to 120, you brought it back down to 60 people, you and Josh, your partner. And I just want to start with, what frameworks and metrics did you use to choose that intentional type growth over maximizing growth, right? Over getting big? What metrics kind of made you know that a smaller team is what you needed to be? And how did you model different organizational sizes to discover that optimal value for your company? That's a big, long question. So answer it however you want.
Thank you for letting me go first, because I have no idea when I have to go to the gate. So thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure you moved the slide because I should have been at the end. But this is really nice of you. First question, though, is I'm using this tool called CRISP, KRISP. And for anybody who needs to take a call from a busy airport with a lot of stuff going on, it is pretty cool. Like, it cancels out the background noise pretty well. So my first question to you, Jason, is it better if I put it up like this to my mouth, or is it better if I kind of leave it down, or neither?
You can't really tell, but I'm going to tell you, we've all taken calls in airports. That is an awful experience. And I cannot hear anything, Chad, but you. That is incredible.
This is so good. All right, KRISP.ai. Not sponsored, but should be, because this is a
I love
great
it.
experience. This is good.
Nice.
All right. So there's a lot to tackle in this. And first off, I want to say I am heavily influenced by my wife, because I'm not allowed to even eat bologna in the house anymore, let alone say it. I grew up eating fried bologna,
Come on.
ketchup, because that was where it was. And I don't think I've had it in 20 years. So now I'm missing it a lot. So thanks for that one, Jason. The 120 to 60 occurred. I want to talk really quickly about why it occurred. We had bug eyes. We were like, oh, we can just grow. And there's no consequence to this. And what ended up happening is that you start to give so much away to other people in the organization to take control of. And for us, we started to lose what made LiveCA special in the first place, which was leaning into why it started. And that was to provide just as good of a life outside of work as we did inside of work. And we had to come back to that. So every decision, and we didn't know this at the time, came back through the lens of, how do we keep peace? How do we keep profit? And how do we keep people happy? And because of that, we ended up thinking we needed to be bigger in order to provide opportunities. And I think this is the key. We equated opportunities for others as the gold standard for what we were building, and not that second piece, which was, how do we let the people that are here have a great life outside of work? So what that turned into when we got bigger was having to bring on too many sales, having to train people outside of our comfort zone, offering services like CFO. I know a lot of people like to call it advisory, but like really hardcore CFO services, which requires a lot of training and a lot of turnover once you train CPAs to do that type of work. We put in things like development teams. We had a 5-person development team at one point, like building tools for clients. It was nuts. And it was all through the lens of needing to provide opportunities. Eventually, what happened is that sales couldn't keep up, onboarding couldn't keep up. The churn was too high because we didn't figure out the underlying structure of how to like keep this multiplying by adding 1 to 2 people per month for 3 years straight. And it was just incredibly chaotic. So it all came to a head when we were projecting losing money every month. And we thought that that was okay because we were investing in the company. It's never okay. Well, maybe it is. Steph is smarter than me. She probably knows when to invest and when not to. But for us, we needed to figure out and pull up our little big boy pants and say, okay, what are we doing here? And we realized, this is the key. We realized that profit now is the piece that provides every person here today with a job in the future and the stability to have as good of a life outside of work as they're having inside of work. And that just hit home. Plus, we didn't like losing money. So what we ended up doing was coming back and modeling out, okay, we're at 120, where do we go? So we started at 20 people all the way up to about 100. And we said, what administrations do we need? What levels of management? How are we going to do training? What service mix makes the most sense? And immediately we realized that we needed to cut CFO services. We needed to cut development team, and we needed to focus just on the core service that we were really good at, which was for $2 million and up companies being their back office so that they don't need to hire a full-time team. Super simple value prop. And when we really honed in on that, we realized that, holy cow, we can provide opportunities to people through stability and through just getting really good at their job. And when they got really good at their job, it allowed them to have peace because they weren't always busy and learning new things. They started having a great life outside of work. So that's what we had to do. We had to go back and say, where's that optimal mix where there's coverage for people when they want to take a vacation, if they get sick, and at what profit level can we feel comfortable that this is a business that isn't going to fail? And when we modeled it, we really found that the 80-person mark, the most profit, but it was very, very risky because we needed to bring on a lot of sales to kind of keep that going. At the 20 and 30-person mark, it was like the second most profitable, the most amount of peace, but it didn't feel like there was enough stability for everybody to have so much coverage in case somebody left, if a manager left. It would be a lot of stress, right? A lot of stress. Then we started modeling it up and we're like, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if every manager could take vacations, if their manager's manager could take vacations, if they could have a ton of sick time, a ton of PD time, 3 to 4 to 5 weeks vacation for every position. Like that would be cool. So that's where the 60-person mark came in. And we realized we could keep a modest amount of profit, and then everything else after that, I think we picked 15%. 15% is enough to keep investing back into the company. And then anything else goes back to employee benefits, increased salaries, better perks, better tech, whatever. But it's back for them. So now there's alignment on the model, the profit, the piece, the tech, the opportunities, just everything kind of works. And it took 2 years to get to that point. So if you think that you make a change really quickly and it's going to stick, maybe it will because you're better than us. But for us, it took 2 years in order to get this right. And for the first time, I know Ian's going to, and Jason is going to get mad at me for saying this, but we nixed value-based pricing because we needed something that was incredibly predictable and easy. So now we sell everybody at the same rate. We just modify the hours and it's fixed per month. And this thing we call budgeted hours is it goes into a lot of detail in the book, and I'm really thankful for Ian to challenge me on a lot of this stuff because not every firm prices the right way. Or sorry, doesn't price the same way. And there's no right way to do it. So this is just one example that worked for us because we didn't want to innovate on pricing. We wanted to innovate on profit and being able to do it that way. So I have no idea what we're going to do for price, year after year after year after year, but holy cow, are our renewals automatic every single month for the annual renewals? People know and have an expectation of like a 5% or more increase every single month or every single year. And it just is this machine now that is taking away the human friction of pricing in order to get to a place of peace. And I know this was a 10-minute rant, so thanks for sticking with me and not leaving. But I think that's enough and ready for Jason's follow-up.
That's incredible. No, yeah, there's so much there. The main thing is that your purpose drove a lot of the hard decisions, because going from 120 to 60 is cutting people, cutting services. Like that stuff is super, super difficult to do, very hard. But your purpose drove you the whole way. And that's what we all need. The book goes into a lot of purpose and values up front, leadership, because that's what's going to drive you through a lot of these hard pivots. You did a pivot, which those take 1.5 to 2 years solid to even make any kind of substantial change. So, Ian, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was
And
going
then
to
I'd
add,
love
so
to hear from Steph and Antoniya.
if you had looked at Chad's website back ages ago, it was very clear on the purpose. It was very clear in terms of what LiveCA stood for. And so I think at the foundational level, and that was something that was really interesting here, was going back to that and realizing what you're all about for not only your clients, but also your employees. And that's where I think the courage was really there. I actually want to turn the page over to Steph, because we had similar conversations Steph did. And I know Steph is just, she wants to get in and ask a few follow-up questions. So I'm going to let Steph take the floor.
So, before we get into that, I think, Chad, telling people that story really runs home that it's actually okay to kind of build the business that suits you. And so my question back for you, Chad, at the moment is, can you just explain the business that you've been able to build for yourself? Because I know that that's also been really intentional. And I know there's a whole host of people around the world who are highly jealous that you've been able to actually build something where you can travel, but it is balancing that business and building a profitable, good business for the team, but also balancing it with something that suits you as the human.
Good question. We used to think that as the owners of the firm, we needed to be the leadership team. That's not the case. So when we brought in our first employees to kind of help us get to those next stages, that was really helpful. But we really lacked the clarity of who is accountable for what. And it caused a lot of delays, probably for 5 or 6 years, around something that could have been a lot more dialed in if we had just followed a framework. That framework for us, it's crazy how loud it is in here. I can barely hear myself. That framework is EOS, right? Entrepreneurial Operating System. And when I figured out, well, it was kind of funny that Josh and I kind of came together in the same week. We were doing our own research and we're like, what's EOS? He's like, I was looking at that too. Maybe we should take a look and talk about this. And we hired the implementer. It was $6,000 a day we did it 4 times for the first year. After the first year, we didn't need them anymore. We just kind of ran with it our own. And it has been the thing that has put me in that visionary seat, which means I'm not doing the day-to-day work, but I do have a seat in sales. So I right now do all the closing. I love the sales. I love talking to new customers. It gives me so much joy helping somebody determine who the right accountant is for them, which is why we refer so many people out. And because I'm in that seat, and that's my ownership seat and my accountability, I get to like hang out with you guys and like talk about the industry and get a pulse on what's happening and go to conferences and be able to like play with a little community I have called Automation Town, which is just like in the weeds AI and automation stuff for accountants. And like, that's what gives me a lot of joy. So I just do sales and Automation Town, and I trust that the people that have been brought up through the leadership are now accountable for the right things. And now it's no longer Josh and I. We have a financial services director, a tax director, HR, controller, sales, other stuff. Like there is just so many people now on that leadership team. There's like six right now. And they now have full accountability for the things that let the firm run. But it's taken almost 3 years to fill those seats because you can't rush that. You have to spend the year prepping people and making sure they understand what you're doing. So that's why Josh, my business partner, is really the reason why I can do what I'm doing, because he's in the business. He's the integrator. He's the one that's working and mentoring and coaching all the people inside to take those leadership team seats. And without him, I wouldn't be able to do this. So when people say the partnership model is dead, they might be right from a traditional sense, but if you have like a best friend who you love dearly, you can work together and build something really cool. Like it's not a black or white thing. So I am all for the partnership model when it is a true like loving partnership. When it's not, it breaks. But for us, it works. So thanks for the question, Steph.
I would put it that that's more of a co-founder model, going to what Steph was talking about. And so kind of going with the business versus the practice. Two things. One last question for you, Chad, and then we'll move on. For those of you, like Jessica had mentioned, you're going to hear from Steph and Antoniya as well, that for that, it's really about designing the right firm for the size and the sort of lifestyle and what we want and how we want to be able to embrace our customers, our clients, and our employees. So we'll get into that in a second. But Samantha had asked, when you ended up doing the layoffs, did you end up firing clients? Did you end up selling sections of the business? How did you manage that from a client's and employee's sake? Because it was so, it was so much of a change that you had to do.
I won't say that we went and did layoffs for the whole thing. I think when you start making those changes, people see the writing on the wall. And during that time of 2022, it was an employee's market. They could get a job anywhere. So because of that, they're like, do I want to be part of a company that's going through so much change? And a lot of people self-selected out. I wish now they could see what's here, like be able to stay. But I'd say over half, yeah, what maybe 60-70% self-selected out during that time. And the rest were strategic layoffs. In terms of the clients, because we had a pricing model, we had to have everybody paying the same rate. So you had a lot of people who couldn't afford you, and then you had some people where you were lowering the price. You had some people that you were convincing to pay an extra $500 to $1,000. And that took a year and a half, 18 months of me calling every single customer and explaining what we're going through, what the new price is, and doing that in a strategic way so that you don't ruin your MRR. I think if you did that all at once, you would highly have a chance of ruining the company because everybody could be gone and you'd have to lay off even more. So it is a strategic decision. And again, we did sell off a lot of customers to one firm who took them kind of all on masse for anybody that wasn't like adhering to this new pricing model. But because the pricing model was so clear, we were able to take on new clients throughout that process and just get them on. And they were like really happy. It wasn't a lot of friction changing. So I'd say from an advice perspective, it would be to embrace your model and don't hang on to clients just because you like them. There is an element here of protecting your business. And I've talked for way too long. So
I'm going to shift this over to Steph, but also Chad, if you do end up running and you go dark, we know it's because your plane's right there. So appreciate it, mate. Jason, you want to take us and bring in Steph and Antoniya here in a little bit?
Yeah, I keep learning a lot from these people. Steph started with we're building businesses, and I love Chad said I'm not trying to be a pricing innovator, right? We're also not trying to be advisory innovators, AI innovators. These are all tools we have to use. But y'all, we run businesses with people's lives in them, and if we don't run them with a purpose, like this group does, then we're going to lose direction and get, distracted and think we have to be real good at a certain kind of pricing model. No, we're trying to run a business for people, for ourselves too. That's real key. And I think, Ian, you're going to pop on the slide so we can see the questions. You'll pop them off because we want to see
I think
the people.
everyone should see it now. Can you all see it?
Yeah. I do
I want
see
to
it.
pop it on, pop it off. That's what the crowd, that's what the audience wants. That's what they're going to get, Jason.
That's right. So cool. All right, Steph, let's start with you. So the frameworks, what frameworks do you use to identify your firm's optimal size before you reach it? I mean, Chad shared some of that. And how do you structure employee ownership? That's pretty interesting to maintain culture and profitability.
Yeah, so I think I'll start at the beginning because Jessica just asked one of my favourite questions of all time, I think, and I don't think this is talked about enough. So when we were first starting 16 years ago, we grew like mad and thought, that is exactly what you needed to do. Very similar to Chad's story. And I was doing a lot of work in the startup land and community with high growth tech startups. And when that's what you're surrounded with, that's what you assume you are supposed to be doing from a business perspective. But as we were building this out and as we were going through transitions, with lots of clients coming on board and lots of employees coming on board, there's one framework that we always use each year that we encourage our clients to think about, and that's dream, design, do. And it's dream up what your ideal business looks like for you, then actually work out the design component, and then put into practice the do, how you're actually going to do that. And so for me, the big thing was I truly love actually helping clients. If you said to me, you have to, for an entire week, have like 10 hours sleep and that's all you get to have, but your entire week is just literally helping clients solve their problems and working out how to do what they need to do in their businesses, I would be like, that is my dream for the world, not for my life, not just as a job, right? And so I was forever reading things, forever going to conferences, forever trying to absorb all of this knowledge, because I also love to learn. And it was pushing towards, well, you need to actually be the one who's doing sales, and you need to be the one who is running the actual business. And in reality, I suck at that. And I also don't actually like it. And so I think we get told that we should be doing all of these things from a business perspective, but in reality, I think everyone needs to understand you should be building, you should be designing, and you should be dreaming up the actual business that suits you people as the humans. Now, I'm incredibly lucky that my business partner and I have worked together for 26 years, almost 27 years. He tells me that he's been through one murderous life sentence and he's on to the second. And when we were really young, told me that there was 2 life sentences in it. So he does remind me we've got 14 years to go. But I'm incredibly lucky that I get to work with somebody every single day that I go on holidays with. I find it weird. We find it weird that we don't actually sometimes see each other for a day. It's like, what's going on? And all of these things that we get told, you know, make sure that there's a formal business partnership and make sure everything's sorted there. It doesn't actually need to be that way. You need to be building the business that is designed around you as a human. And so when I learned that, it then also meant that it was incredibly easy to attract other humans, being both clients and employees, who thought similarly to you and who were passionate about just helping clients across the board. And so what we did with that is we also looked at, well, what does that mean from a services level? Should we just be doing, you know, compliance and advisory in Australia, or what should we actually be doing? And we learned that we needed to just build into our business processes and we needed to build into our pricing just a blanket helping clients, because oftentimes we are just literally the sounding board that they need to dump information to, which means then we just need to ask questions for them to compartmentalize. And the other thing that we learned is that's actually what I personally love teaching to other people in terms of how to understand what other people are actually asking you. What are they actually telling you? And how do you then give them the guidance and give them the energy back to say what you're doing is really exciting? And so for me, the journey has actually been dream up what you want your day to be. If you're building this business because you're building it to scale and you want to be an M&A firm and that's what you're doing, then you're going to have a really different take on what you want your business to look like. If you're building something that makes you want to jump out of bed every single day and go to work, then actually go and do that. But it's simply, you have to actually dream up the business that you want. And that dream has to be, who do you want to work with as employees? Who do you want to actually work with as clients? What do you want to be able to deliver to them? And then it's about taking standard business principles and putting everything around the edges. And I think the one other story that it took me a long time to learn is I hate selling, which is fine and another story. Chad is really good at it. But I hate selling, and I'm so bad at it that I would actually just give away to the client the entire plan for them for the next 5 years in a first appointment, get to know you. And I'd be really comfortable for that first appointment to go for 7 hours because I just get into the groove and get really excited about that stuff. And I think that's been the other learning for me as well. You have to have the right people in the right spots in order to be able to make sure you're balancing what you want to actually do versus the fact that you're also responsible for the business. And to Chad's point, we're responsible for the actual employees that we have and making sure they have amazing jobs going forward and that they're taken care of, that we can give them extra bits and pieces. And so for us, that is the important part.
Before Jason goes, because I know I won't get a word in, Antoniya, I'd love to get your thoughts on this because
This is great.
you've had a similar sort of path for your own business as well. And I want to bring up the comment that Jessica brought in the chat where, she loves doing the business. She loves the clients that she's working with. She knows where she's at, and she just hasn't had time to be able to set the packages, the prices, the processes, and so forth. And I think that's the big point here, which is as the owner, the entrepreneurial leader, that is your responsibility. That is what you've taken on, that you need to do that work. And while you might gravitate towards getting into the work, you have to be able to create the environment for your employees and for your clients to thrive. And that's what these folks have done on the intentionality. And it may not be your comfort zone, but that's, as we say in the book, that's what you signed up for. And so that is your responsibility. Sorry, and to cut you off there, Jason.
No, it's good. I I just keep making the point of the title of this webinar. It's intentional. And it turns out what Steph is teaching me is that you actually can build the business you want to build, and you have to stop trying to make it something you see somebody else build. That's when we get in a lot of trouble, is when we don't build the business that we're supposed to run. It's not going to look, none of these are going to look the same. As we say, our services organizations are very intimate. These are intimate kinds of businesses, very relational. And so they're going to all look extremely different from one another. And we've got to be okay with that being, we have our own specific firm, and that's okay. Antoniya, any thoughts you have on just the intentionality of building what you want to have instead of what others think you should have?
Yeah, so my question, I guess, for Steph, also for Chad as well, is when you started the business, what was your initial idea that you wanted to achieve for yourself and for your clients? And years down the line, that now that we are together talking about it, has that idea changed in any way, or have you managed to stay true to your initial values and core beliefs when you started out?
I will say that originally I spent a lot of time trying to work on what we wanted to do for people. And so Alan and I really enjoy nice gin and nice wine. And so this certainly helps when you're dreaming up everything for the Aussies here. We came up with the catchphrase, think, learn, grow, and kick ass. And for us, we wanted to be able to get our team and to get our clients to really be thinking about what it is they wanted to do, to want to be that constant learning force, and to always in their minds be humans who wants to continue to learn, and then obviously from that grow and kick ass. And so for us, that is really true. But grow in my mind as a 27-year-old kid was revenue and profit. And what I've learned is think, learn, grow, and kick ass is still very true to our whole entire purpose, but grow means different things to different people. Kick ass is success. It means very different things to different people. And so whilst that purpose is still true, I've just learned what it actually means rather than it just being something we wanted.
For me, the change was that I was very selfish in the beginning. I just wanted to work from the basement. I didn't want to have an office. And that was cool. Like, I didn't know 6 years later we'd be like in an RV doing travel stuff. But I realized that the initial idea of like just wanting to have some freedom around time, it morphed into creating freedom for the people around me. So I think it was very self-centered and selfish in the beginning, but then it turned into, oh, I'm actually here for them and I like work for them now. So I need to make sure that there's a structure here that works. And I think that's the mission now, is to protect the business model at all costs.
This is incredible. All right, Ian.
We're
We'll
on the
move-
next one. You should be able to see the slide. I would like to point out that Steph has Grow right behind her on the wall.
Yes.
So it's always a reminder of kind of where that is. But I do think it's the maturity that we all get running businesses and having our teeth kicked in a few times more than we'd like, that we are able to keep the purpose intact, but we learn the maturity of what it means. And
Yeah.
that's really, I love the fact that how you stated that, Steph. So back over to you, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. And it comes back to serving the people that we've committed our lives to building the business for. And you're one of those, right? You as the owner are building the business for you too. And so you can't leave yourself behind. So that balance is really tough. And we all, try to figure that out every day. It's hard. Very cool. All right, Antoniya, let's ask you a question. How do you maintain the same revenue level with half the team, which is something y'all did? What specific processes did you have to figure out, technology, so that you could shrink, the business, but keep revenue and profits kind of similar and the same?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess a bit of background history as well here. So when I joined the company, I was very interested to know, just like what I just asked Steph and Chad, what was the initial idea of the business? Because our company was started initially with the idea to be an advisory firm. Can you guys hear me well?
We can't. Yep. We hear you perfect. Yep.
Great. Okay. So our business started as an advisory service, and Heather built it from her back room at home, with the idea to, she came from the big corporate world, and she had the knowledge and the expertise, and she wanted to pass it on to small businesses. So it started gradually evolving into a service providing business, but at the same time, there was demand for accountancy and payroll and bookkeeping. So she started gathering this small team to support her with her services as a finance director. And very naturally and organically, the business grew over the years. So when I joined in 2014, I joined as an office manager, and I did a lot of admin work. I was involved in all things like manual contracts, scanning receipts through a tiny scanner. We were a very small team in comparison to Chad's story. We were only 7 in the office. So our office was big enough to fit 10 of us, pretty much. And I remember Heather said to me, I always wanted to grow the team to 10 because this is how I would feel most comfortable. And we went on to the idea of growing the team to 10 people. And at the same time, there was this kind of shift in the industry where there was a lot of technology emerging. When I started, I had no idea about Xero, but when I was actually shown how it works, I was blown away because I had no idea this kind of thing existed for small businesses. So I also was kind of very bought into the idea of trying to help the business work more effectively. So we went through becoming a paperless practice. We went through the decision of ditching all of the software that was existing, and we stuck to one. At the same time, we started using different softwares for onboarding and for contract management. And so I think from the very early days, curiosity was kind of very important of how can we work to get technology to help us run things smoother for the business, and just scale it up to a comfortable for us size. And then I guess in 2015, 2018 kind of period, we started transitioning from, you know, a smallish kind of firm to a firm that was really interested into trying and testing different technologies, and is it working, giving feedback, how can we utilize it, what's working, what's not, getting feedback from the team, working with our suppliers as well to help them build those technology products. So I guess when we started speeding up processes, and we managed to somehow gradually improve our turnaround times very quickly. So at one point we were becoming quite, you know, we were bringing on new clients at the same time. People were referring us a lot more, and you know, the more people that know you, the more people can refer you. So I guess that was kind of the period when we grew quite fast. And in 2018, over the period of probably a year and a half, we managed to double the team in size. So it was really exciting time, and we were very kind of pumped up by the fact that, you know, all these young people, they want to come and work with us. And Heather was also really excited because she's an amazing educator. Just like Steph said, she wants to pass on all of her knowledge to the younger generation, to bring on more people, and just, you know, to make the industry attractive to younger generation. So it was a no-brainer. We were growing, and we decided, okay, let's get a big office. You know, let's bring another 10 desks, you know, get people to sit on them, bring on more clients, do the work that we can do. And scaling up was very fast paced. And now that I'm thinking, it didn't seem like a super hard process because we had the tools in place. And then it was like a couple of years of go, on board, sign up, you know, train people, move work along, that kind of shift along the office. And there was a lot of, I guess, training happening as well as supervision, but we were very, very strict on quality control for our work. So we always made sure that whoever was the more experienced people, the more experienced people were the ones to support the younger, not that experienced people, I guess. And then COVID came. So I guess, I don't know how it was for everyone else, but at the time when COVID hit, we were 16 in the office. We had a nice big office, open space office, and we were used to working 5 days a week. And just a couple of us were working from home just for a bit of flexibility for family. So when COVID came and everyone literally packed their laptop and went to work from home, we knew that we had to give that extra support to our team and make them secure in their jobs, because it was very tricky times for many people. So we managed to maintain the full team numbers during the whole period of the COVID pandemic. And then when things started reopening slowly but surely, like Chad said, people started to shift their preferences in different areas. So we had some of our team who decided they wanted to change career completely. We had people who moved outside, you know, London, bigger cities. People moved abroad, and we tried to bring back to normality ways of working, but we kind of knew that it was never going to happen again. So with that, there was a different kind of situation where you come across the fact that you have invested so much time and so much resource into hiring people and into training them up. And at one point you're left with a fewer people team, but you need to make the decision and the right decision for your business. Do I want to go through the whole thing again, or do I want to try and scale back? And for us at the time, it was really, really hard to find new talent. So we tried to recruit, and it just wasn't working the way we were hoping. Our team has always been very involved into the recruitment process. We as employees are always involved in who we work with, because these are going to be our colleagues and people we're going to sit next to. So we saw that we needed to make some kind of a shift. And then there was like a turning point for us, where the core team just sat down together and we had to reevaluate our direction. So we made the decision to downsize. And the reason we wanted to do that was probably because we realized, like Chad said, our profitability, even though we were much bigger, wasn't necessarily much better. So we reviewed our workload and we went through all our clients' list. And most importantly, we wanted to try and stick true to our core values of the business and how we provide our services. So we focused on the things that mattered the most for us as a team, as well as for the clients that we were serving. So we wanted to keep the clients that we were adding the most value to. Like Chad mentioned, the people that you are serving as the back office of their business, their finance department. And we were working with them in kind of genuine partnerships as well. We loved working with them. So, and also it was really important to maintain a good team well-being, because that was quite important. If you have a happy team, you have happy clients as well. And I think this is quite key here. So we wanted to plan it right from the outset. So we had some clients that were we knew that they were going to be quite upset when we tell them that we need to let go of them.
Sure.
So we made a plan, and we partnered with another firm. We had a discussion with them, and we knew that they were growing at the same time. They wanted to scale up their company. So we said, we have a number of clients that we are willing to give the option to move to you. And if you're happy to take them on, we want to make it as smoothly as possible. So pass on all the information, everything, including the fees. And we had a great agreement with them. So I think when you provide the clients with the idea of, you were working with them until yesterday, and today you have to pass them on to someone, there's always kind of that scare moment. But when you give them that extra support and kind of assurance that you may need to let go of them, but you're sure that the new guys are going to look after them very well, I think it kind of smoothens things up a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it. It was a couple of months, if not years. It was a pretty challenging time. We went on from being a team of 16, we're currently 8. And I think smaller office at the moment doesn't necessarily feel like you have more to do, but also you don't have less to do. So it's a bit like divide and conquer kind of situation.
Yeah.
Or the work that we had before, we managed to divide between the team. And for the clients that we were adding value, we actually managed to continue adding more value and provide more services. So in that sort of way, we managed to maintain our profitability. And yeah, at the moment, most of my colleagues, I've been working with them for over 7 years, so they're like a family of mine.
That's
We know each
amazing.
other's faults, and we're, you know, we know each other very well. So we work together for the last couple of years. We've been maintaining the number. And at the moment, I think we can very carefully and gradually start growing the team again. We're
Yeah.
at the place where I think we can scale up with a couple of more people. But I think we're gonna be making it very carefully and very cautiously this time.
Yeah.
So
Well,
very,
either way, it was just incredibly intentional. Again, just like the
yes.
rest of you did it all on purpose. Like all of us, you went through a manual phase, you employed SOPs, processes, technology, and all of that just continued to let you grow in the way you wanted to grow. So that is incredible, that journey. So, well, Ian, we're running out of time, man.
We're
So
out of
you
time. I
want
know
to,
Chad's got to
I'm
get to a
so
plane.
sorry.
No, you're
Chad's
fine.
leaving. Yeah.
And I think that the thing about that is each one of the folks here. So thank you, Steph. Thank you, Antoniya. Thank you, Chad. When you look at what the stories were and you look at what they've done, they were different, but it was the intentionality of it and the thoughtfulness that they placed into it. So I appreciate you all sharing your stories.
Love it.
Safe travels, Chad. Good
Yeah,
morning,
Chad, be
Steph.
safe.
Good evening, Antoniya. Jason, take us out.
I love it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Well, if you want to get on the book list, make sure you go and sign up. The book, we have a soft launch we did, but the book is officially out December 9th. We would love for you to help us promote it. So if you hop on our list, we hope this book helps a lot of people. We really do. We share a lot of our own dirt and fears and worries, and then a lot of technical ways that you can grow too. So we hope it really does help. So I think we're done, man. We got another webinar coming up to be our 4th with all the authors or with the interviewees that we had in the book. So we're out of here, man.
Yeah, and please give a big thank you to everybody here that's on to all of our panelists, because again, their stories really shaped the book and really again are good understanding of kind of where you might go with your own practice. So thank you, Steph. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Any last things to say, team? Nope.
We're good.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you all. Take care. Good to see you.